Do you think the way that you carried yourself on that landed you the bartender role in Bachelor in Paradise because you were so, like you said, you gave out like good advice. So how did that transition you into that role?
Well, it's a little bit different than they weren't like, look at this guy, he needs to be the bartender. It really came down to, so I assume it's still like this, but when you go on the show, if you get a rose before the rose ceremony, because you'll go on dates and like they'll give you roses, right? Which means you're safe until like the next week. So I went on the first group date, and I got the first rose. I got the first rose of the season. Well, Jordan, he got the first impression rose, and then I got the second rose. And then my buddy Derek, he went on the first one-on-one and got a rose. So it was us three dudes who were kind of clear until the next week. When you have a rose, it's so ridiculous to say this out loud, but when you have a rose, they don't care about you. You're not a storyline anymore because you're fine until next week.
The camera people, like the producers.
Production.
Yeah.
They're like, you guys are fine. We're not focusing on you guys. So, and of course, everyone else is like, like, I got to get time with her, and she needs to know who I am. I got to get this rose at the rose ceremony. And we're like, fuck it. We're good. Like, we have nothing to worry about. So I started doing this thing where I started making drinks. I was like, loved old fashioned. I still love old fashions. It's my drink. So I'd make drinks. And so I remember Derek came back from his one-on-one and had a rose. And I was like, all right, I've been doing this for the last couple of days. No one's paying attention to us. So let's get drunk. So I started making drinks for him. And then started making drinks for Jordan. And it was just like I was just bartending for like us three. And then it became a funny thing of if you got a rose before a rose ceremony, Wells had to make you a drink. So then it started becoming a thing where people wanted to get the rose so they could eventually get engaged to JoJo, but people were also saying, I want to get this rose because I want to have Wells get me drunk. So then it became this weird thing. I think production was like, what's happening over here? Like, we're not filming it, but like everyone wants Wells to make him a drink. And then of course we'd sit down and have real conversations because cameras weren't on us. Now, were cameras on us? Of course, because there's cameras everywhere, but we didn't know that. And so we would really relax and have like really meaningful conversations, not even about the girl we were dating, just about life and, religion and death and all that kind of stuff that you do when you get drunk with somebody. And I think that was the thing that made them be like, okay, this might be a good, he might be good at this thing. Now, at the time, in Bachelor in Paradise, there was a bartender there. He was just an employee of the resort. And his name is Jorge, and he's a wonderful guy.
Oh, he wasn't part of the show?
No, not at all. He just was a bartender there. And so I went on the show as a cast member, BIP 3. I came kind of late, so I met Jorge and everything. And the problem that he had, he's a wonderful man. His English is like a little off, right? Like it's not his first language. So it was hard for him. He was pretty good at communicating, but he wasn't like really good at like understanding what people were crying about and everything. And so the season after that, he like left the resort. Like he was no longer working there. He started his own tourism company, which you can actually still do in Sayulita to this day. He's an awesome guy. And so when he left the show, I think they were like, this is a good opportunity for us to have someone that can like really talk to these people. And then the leg up that I have is that I was actually part of the show. Like I understand more so than really anybody, like the trepidation and the fears that you have of like going on that experience, And so I think that's how it originally started.
Are you working a full shift?
Yeah, I work a lot. It's like one thing that people don't really realize. They think that someone else makes the drinks and then I'm just like a figurehead. So like every cast member comes down, they're like, "Oh, do you cuss on this?"
Oh yeah, whatever you want.
Okay. They're always like, "Holy shit, you're actually making the drinks?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what did you think?" And they're like, "Well, we thought that like someone else made the drinks and you just like talk to us." like, no, I have to. Like, when I first got there, I remember Elon Gale, one of my favorite producers in the world. He no longer works for the show, but he makes a million other shows. It was like kind of like his brainchild with me. Like, we kind of created this whole thing, and he was like, I want you to be like the bartender on Love Boat. Like, I've got this whole idea for you. But I remember the first day before we started filming, he brought me down to the bar. He brought all the producers down, and he goes, okay, Wells is the bartender. He's going to wear this stupid shirt, okay? And he had, like, employees there, and he's like, okay, where does Wells go get the ice? And they were like, okay. And he's like, hielo. Where does he get the hielo? And they're like, oh. So he's like, show me where you get the ice. And he's like, okay, where are the glasses? And they show me where you get the glasses. And it was like, where do you wash the glass? Like, I had to like learn everything.
So you're a real bartender there.
Yeah, for sure. Like, if I break a glass into ice, I have to burn all that ice and then go get more ice.
They dock it out of your pay.
Oh yeah, and like, what's really you'll never see. It's so funny. Like, the true greatness of the show never gets shown. But like, I get so mad at them because it's a no fault of their own, but I have a limited amount of glasses that I can keep back there because we've got sound people back there and camera guys back there, and I'm just busy back there. And I'll make them a drink, and they'll leave, and then they'll come back, and they won't have the cup, and I'll be like, "Where's the cup?" And so you'll see me every about 2 hours. I have to walk around the beach, pick up all the sandy cups, go wash them. I've done like 9 seasons of this show, and I'm like their bitch.
Yeah.
Effectively.
Are you filling them up with real alcohol?
Oh, yeah.
If people want double shots, you're doing that?
So, no. My stomach's growling.
Do you want a break?
No. I've found that, and I think production has found this too, like, sloppy cast members don't make good TV. It's funny because I'll watch a show back and I'll be like, I can tell they're drunk a little bit, but they're keeping it together, or I just know them pretty well. But like, you'll never see like, fuck that bitch, she stole like that. Like, it's also network TV, so it's not. I'm sure ABC and Disney wouldn't love that, but it doesn't make for good TV. So us getting them super sloppy is not advantageous in telling a story. Now, do I agree with that? I do not. And I'll tell you why. If I'm going to get engaged to somebody, I want to know what they're like when they get wasted. That's an important thing to know, right? Like we were talking starting the show, like Wells is like, oh, yes, when he blacks out, he's a nice blackout drunk. That's an important thing to know, I think. So I've had that kind of like conversation of like, I think it's important for like these people, like they're gonna get engaged, they should know. But no, I don't get them too drunk. We have kind of a system where it's like a couple drinks an hour. I have like way too much liability on me. I have like a book where I like denote how many drinks people have had, and then what ends up happening is like someone will get sick for some reason and they'll be on antibiotics, and it's like, okay, you can't serve them drinks because of, you can't drink on antibiotics. And so I have to like kind of keep track of that. And then there'll be times when people do get a little sloppy, and I'll have to be like, it's funny because for the most part, people are appreciative when I do it, but it's a hard thing to stomach when someone says, hey, I don't want to make you a drink, you're too drunk, So I've gotten good at like, you never see it on TV, but I'll be like, hey, come here. I'll be like, hey, I'm going to make you a water. Let's just chill for a second, because I don't want you to say something stupid, And I'll be like, don't worry about it. Like, no, there's no cameras here or whatever. Like, just let's chill for a second. Most of the time they're like, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like, you're getting a little loose. But then sometimes, and it's usually people that are assholes and I hate, will be like, fuck you, make me a drink. And then I'm like, okay, buddy.
You're going to double.
Yeah.